going on, guys? Still there. Palantir made a massive move within the market today, potentially setting up that next leg to get to these next high levels of the stock. In today's video, we'll be doing a price prediction using technical analysis and technical analysis only. This will be completely non-biased, non-emotional, straight cold hard truth using data. With that being said, let's get straight to the analytics. So looking at the stock, guys, right away, we have seen a very, very strong last month. We do see a cup and handle formation on the daily time frame, which is pretty rare for Palantir. We haven't seen the structure a whole lot. As you see, a very, very nice descent of price action actually formulate to a very nice content consolidation amongst this level, breaking up over this key level at this point, and from there forming the other half of this cup. And from that point, we actually have gone sideways and had a very, very nice breakout as of now over the top of the neckline. But we'll be getting to this all on a very intricate level. Before we get too ahead of ourselves, we're going to jump over the weekly, really to the weekly time frame. And right away, we do see is that there's a lot of strength within Palantir. When we look a couple months ago at this very critical stage, which does leave us a lot of hints and clues and data to why this movement is so strong. We see that stock moved up very, very strong, right? And we actually formulated these highs at this very, very key level, right? So we formed out right at these highs. We're squeezing up against these waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 touch points, pressing up against it before eventually having a very nice run up. But when we fast forward to now, this current run up we've had a lot of bounces amongst the journey, which makes it a lot more formidable. As not only are we going up, we're going up and we're coming back down, we're coming up and down. So we're really testing each side of the wavelength. As stocks can't just move linear straight all the way up. They move in stair-step-like effects where they come up, they come down. They come up, they come down. And that's currently what we're seeing on Palantir as a weekly analysis. As within the last 1, 2, 3 weeks of price action, we actually have 3 very, very nice wicks holding up at this major level. So coming all the way from these swing lows of close to $50 to push all the way back up to these major, major levels of 123, 125. It's a very, very critical spot. If there's any point where the sellers were to step in, it would be at these points, guys. It would be at these massive spots where stock can potentially double top, right? Have a double top like structure where we come up to this major spot and then come down. Then we have 2 confirmations at this top level. But what stock has done instead of that is had 1, 2, 3 wicks up against a major, major resistance, which is the last resistance level, which is something we have to mention, right? Palantir stock has never been over this last level at $126. So let's keep that in mind, right? And it's crazy saying that out loud. So I remember when Palantir was like $5, $6 around like 2020, 2021. Wish I held on, right? But besides the point, a little PTSD, but looking at the stock, man, we've never been to these highs before. So to have this very big grind up from these levels all the way back up and hold very, very strong, guys, it's a very, very good sign. So we actually are seeing that push through over all-time highs, which is a very, very good sign. Something I like to say on the channel, which is a very good analogy for the situation, is that if you want to take a race car and you want to go really, really fast, you want to see how fast 0 to 60 can go, break records, all this. What you want to do is you want to go on a nice runway. It's nice and dry. There's a good atmosphere. That's like when a stock is at all-time high, right? So Palantir has never been above this $125, $126 wick over here. So now pushing past that level, each and every bullish action past that level, it's a clear runway. As there's no major level where buyers and sellers will be able to look at the stock and be able to pinpoint where potentially pullbacks will happen. So with that being said, guys, we are in an all-time high territory, making these highs very, very key. So if we do come back down to that level of about 125.60 to 124.60, that's something we're going to keep an eye on. And that's a very, very major level, and that will be indicative whether we hold that or not on the short-term momentum, as we are treading on a very, very key spot within the chart, guys. So keep an eye on that. But with that being said, we're going to jump over to the daily time frame to get more of a macro perspective. Alrighty, guys, looking at the daily time frame right away, we are seeing that another major thing that we have to keep mentioning, guys, is how are buyers and sellers reacting when stock pulls back and moves up. So over the last few weeks, we have seen just very, very aggressive run up. Seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 green days with one red day. That red day immediately followed by a nice move up, right? And then the gap down accordingly. This should be the spot, quote unquote, right? Where stock should double top, right? With these major wick out levels at the top will be collapsed all the way from 125 to even down to the $66 level, right? This should be the double top area. Sellers are getting in at this point. Immediately, buyers step up within these wicks, press the stop up, we'll move right back up to the end of this cup and handle formation, right? We're right up against that handle. Stock starts to move down. This is the spot where it should flush, right? We get a very, very nice wick on the daily, followed by another very nice wick on the daily, followed by a very, very move up. Very, very nice move up, sorry. So right away in this psychology, guys, we're seeing a whole lot of more buyer presence than seller. Even within these major spots where quote unquote the sellers really should take over, they haven't been able to. So we got to be bullish as far as the daily perspective, just off the psychology of the candles, let alone the structure of the pattern. So we're actually going to go get a price target for this daily cup and handle. This very, very nice pattern has been forming for a couple months. So this should give us a very decent move, right? As big patterns almost typically always do give a very, very nice yield. So we're going to bring up to the bottom of the cup, which is about right here. I got a little bit wrong. To the top, and we're going to get about a 70% retracement. So we're going to track that about 50% to 35%. As from my experience trading, guys, the 50% retracement of these big patterns is a better gauge. And that perfectly lines up with this very key psychological level of $150. So that is going to be the price target we're going to set for the channel. And I am pretty confident in that within that we will reach that. Of course, this is based off implied probability, and this changes on a day-to-day basis. But as of now, guys, we're seeing a lot of very nice signs within the market. The overall market structure is strong. And I think breaking these all-time highs, we're going to see a lot more eyeballs on Palantir. So definitely keep an eye on that volume as the days to come. You know, we've seen a pretty steady volume within the last few months, but I am expecting, if this move does pick up as we expect it to, potentially see some very big bars of volume coming in. So we will cover that if that happens. But with that being said, as of now, it's pretty regular volume. So looking at the stock, guys, you clearly see that we've mentioned how buyers are very, very strong in these moments, and the sellers aren't really able to do much. And something key is that this nice big green bar up, which I mentioned at the beginning of the video, a very nice move to set up the next few days in or weeks of movement. The reason I say that as well is because just the movement of this is very, very clean. As how big of a movement this was about around 10% price action. If we draw that to the next candle, where any candle even held close to that, it's all the way down here in this very, very key marker. Right around there. So it's around April, beginning of April, and that's the biggest move we've had since then. So to see the biggest movement Palantir has had within the last month or two, coming off this very, very big break is nice. We say it all the time on the channel, guys. When you see a nice pattern that's playing out on a big time frame, you want to see confirmation on a big degree. You don't want to see a small breakthrough. You want to see a big boom, plow through, run through the stock, really giving that confirmation that this pattern is breaking out and it's not a fake. So as far as the daily perspective, guys, we've seen a lot of nice signs. We've seen a lot of strong buyer presence, not a lot of seller presence at all, even at these major levels where they should be stepping up, right, in these highs and these lows. And we are seeing a very, very nice big breakthrough, pushing through on the daily time frame. The only thing we haven't seen on the daily is strong volume to pick up. But besides that, guys, we're seeing almost every other bullish indication you could see. So on the daily perspective, we definitely are bullish, as well with the weekly. So with that being said, we're going to go transfer over to the hourly. Alrighty, guys, looking at the hourly time frame, we do see a double confirmation, which is a very, very nice sign. We're seeing a lot of nice signs in Palantir. So this is why this is a very good trade for me today on Palantir. We broke over that very, very nice 120.18 level. Once we broke over that level, we actually had, as you see on the chart here, another cup and handle confirmation. That's what I like to call double confirmation. So if we take all these trend lines off, you see when we had this very nice grind up to this point, Candle started to thin out before we gap down. When we gap down, we form this very nice structure, this line, followed by this consolidation at the bottom, forming the bottom of a cup. Then at that point, pushing back up and forming this handle, pushing sideways. And although on the daily time frame, we do have the neckline at the top of this point, on the hourly, we do have a descending neckline. We're pushing all the way down to these highs, down to the handle, and we did see a breakout. So the psychology of this, guys, once again, is once the sellers have control and they should be in these areas really starting to move the stock down, immediately they get swept up, forming that cup-like structure, followed by a very nice consolidation, setting up that next leg up, which leads into our next point. On the hourly time frame, we'll always be keeping an eye on these higher lows and higher highs. As you see the stock, Palantir set higher low here, higher low here, higher low here, and potentially, higher low here, and potentially one right around this point. So even in theory, if we do come down back to this general zone, 125.60 to 124.50, this blue box, right, we come down at that point, and then we formulate a low, and we come back up. We're still in the trend, guys, of setting these higher lows and highs. Right? We're stair-stepping our way up. Because in theory, a stock can't just move linear. Which moves us back to the weekly one, right? Can't just move linear. So to see these wicks and these pullbacks is a very, very nice sign as it shows strength. Right? So the trend has been tested and it has succeeded. So this double confirmation, guys, really does give me a lot of reminiscence of MicroStrategy, which will pull up for 20 seconds with a very, very nice daily bull flag breakout right at this level. We were covering it, and when we jumped to the hourly, you saw a very, very nice bull flag on the hourly time frame pinch out right at that key level and really get tight before breaking out. So that's just another example of where this double confirmation can step in. So once again, we're seeing another nice sign on the hourly. So as far as the hourly perspective, right now it's really a question: where will the next higher low be set? Is this a higher low right here, or will we come down to retest this zone, potentially bounce off this point, and continue to move higher? I actually don't really know if we'll get this test, guys, as considering all the bullish signs we've seen on every single time frame, I think it is pretty likely we actually do just jolt back up. But if we do come down to the zone, 125.60 to 124.50, keep an eye on it, guys. Keep an eye on it. But with that being said, guys, on the hourly, we'll be watching $135 as the next resistance, as when a stock's breaking out into all-time highs, as we mentioned prior, there isn't any form of point of resistance where we can watch. So when that does happen, I like to move the psychological levels: 135, 140, 145, and 150. 150 being the ultimate, as that's a 50 interval, right? But that'll be the next level we'll watch. 135 for the next level of resistance. And then we'll go mark up the next one, guys. 140. And then ultimately after that, once we get to this point, we will mark up 145 as some short-term resistance. But we are moving in all-time high territory, guys. We're seeing a very, very nice breakout over this key level on the neckline on the daily time frame. We're adding up on the weekly, the hourly, and the daily. So every single perspective looks good, guys, as of now. With that being said, guys, keep an eye on these major levels. Keep an eye on that $120 level. If we do break that, we are in contention of actually coming down to this handle point. And then at that point, that would be potentially a fake breakout. If that does happen, we'll cover that. And we'll, of course, different implied probability at that level. But as of now, guys, we're seeing almost every single check on the box. The stock looks very, very good. Keep an eye on these major levels. Of course, the next big one we're going to want to watch is at 124.50 to 125.60, and then 130.60 for the next level of resistance, as that is the wick of today's breakout. With that being said, guys, if you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, all that, and have a good day.